The question is now, should there be a suspension for Brittney Griner? And now that is a different question. Should there be a suspension for Brittney Griner? For me, the answer is yes. Because the reason why, in real time, you could definitely chalk this up as being unintentional. But then after she got... Look, the ball's nowhere to... Like, she goes... Griner makes no attempt to grab the ball here. Like, Griner is nowhere near the ball. She's not within a meter of the ball. The ball is not within a meter of her by the time she grabs Aliyah.
Look at that replay one more time. Brittney Griner's hand is nowhere near the basketball. The ball is a full meter away when her fingers make contact with Aliyah Boston's face. And that's the problem here. Because in real time, you could maybe chalk this up as accidental players swing their arms. Things happen in the heat of competition. But when you slow it down and actually watch where Griner's eyes are focused, where her hand is traveling, and where that basketball actually is, the story changes completely.
It's tangled up. And the fact that there is a history of Aliyah Boston and Brittney Griner going at it. With the way Unrivaled have been with almost withholding players, like they have no issue with if a player has an injury they can play with them sitting out. They have no issue with being overly cautious with everything. So when it comes to another player, for lack of a better word, cheap shotting another player, and they're suddenly not overly cautious with this, for me, that is a bit of a concern.
Here's what makes this particularly problematic. 25 seconds before this incident, these two players got their arms tangled up fighting for position. Griner and Boston have a documented history of physical play against each other. This wasn't some random collision between players who've never had issues before. This was retaliation, plain and simple. And the question everyone's asking is whether Unrivaled is going to do anything about it, or if this is just going to get swept under the rug like so many other incidents we've seen. The league made a decision in the moment not to eject Griner, and honestly, that's defensible from a referee's perspective. When you're making a call in real time without the benefit of replay, without the ability to slow it down and analyze intent, you have to consider the possibility that it was accidental. Referees can't read minds. They can't know for certain what a player intended in a split second, but we're not in real time anymore. We have the replay, we have the context, we have the history between these two players, and the evidence is pretty damn clear.
A concern because, unfortunately, because of proximity to Caitlin Clark, amongst the WNBA media, it's fair game. Aliyah Boston is fair game. Like, it's Aliyah Boston's fair game, Lexi Hull's fair game, Sophie Cunningham's fair game. You are allowed to go out and try to hurt an Indiana Fever player. Heck, Sydney Colson was fair game when JC Sheldon jumped through her knee. Like, the ball, Sid Colson was picking up the ball, and JC Sheldon jumped from behind, slid through her knees, and injured her. Like, what JC Sheldon did to Sydney Colson was...
Now here's where this gets into uncomfortable territory. Because Unrivaled has positioned itself as this player-first league that prioritizes safety and well-being. They've been very vocal about creating an environment where players don't have to worry about unnecessary physicality or dangerous play. They've marketed themselves as different from the WNBA in that regard. So when you have a clear retaliation incident on video with a player who has history with the opponent and the league's response is basically nothing, what message does that send? What does it tell players about what's actually acceptable on that court? The double standard is what's really striking here. Unrivaled has had no problem sitting players out for minor injuries, being overly cautious about player health when it comes to rest and recovery, but when it comes to one player taking a cheap shot at another player, suddenly that same level of caution disappears.
Way around. If Aliyah caught Brittney Griner with this, I'm fully believe that Aliyah would be suspended by Unrivaled. I fully believe it. But because in the psychotic world of the WNBA, Fever players are fair game. Whether that's fair game from commentators, fair game from the media, fair game from other players. You are allowed to attack their characters, you are allowed to...
And this is where the Caitlin Clark proximity factor comes into play. Because Aliyah Boston plays for the Indiana Fever, she's Clark's teammate, her closest friend in the league. The person she's built the most chemistry with on the court. And there's been this pattern throughout the 2024 WNBA season, where Fever players have been treated as acceptable targets. We saw it with the physical play against Clark herself. We saw it with the way Sydney Colson got injured when JC Sheldon slid through her knees from behind in what would have been a red card tackle in soccer. We saw it in the way commentators and media members felt comfortable attacking Fever players' characters, their appearances, their skill sets, in ways they would never do with players from other teams. The WNBA media created this environment where if you're associated with Caitlin Clark, you're fair game. And unfortunately, that mentality seems to have followed these players into Unrivaled.
And I don't think in general that something like this you could say, oh yeah, you know, is worthy of a suspension. But when it comes to Unrivaled, and it being this buddy league and players, you know, you don't actually have to play. We'll just you can pay to train. You don't have to play. This isn't a real sports league type thing. At the end of the day, it is like, it's one of those things where,
think about what would happen if the roles were reversed here. If Aliyah Boston had caught Brittney Griner with that same hand to the face, with the same context, with the same history between them. Do you honestly believe the response would be the same? Because I don't. I genuinely believe that if Boston had been the one throwing the hand, Unrivaled would have suspended her immediately. And that's not speculation, based on nothing. That's based on watching how these leagues have operated for the past year. That's based on seeing which players get the benefit of the doubt and which players get held to a different standard. The conversation around this incident has been telling too. Instead of asking whether Griner should face discipline, a significant portion of the discussion has been about whether Boston deserved it, whether her physical style of play, her legal but aggressive use of elbows when she establishes position, somehow justified getting hit in the face as retaliation.
and it's not just a little small bit of history. Like, we've seen Brittney Griner swing elbows, we've seen Aliyah Boston. Aliyah Boston does Aliyah Boston things. When she drops steps, she keeps her arms high, and it's very like. And the thing is, like, it's ironically, based on the rules of basketball, it is a perfectly legal elbow to the face. Like, she's in her cylinder. There's nothing wrong with it in the rules of basketball, but she does elbow people in the face. Let's be very clear here. It is.
Let's be clear about Boston's playing style for a second, because this keeps coming up. Yes, Aliyah Boston uses her elbows when she posts up. Yes, she keeps her arms high when she drops steps. And yes, technically speaking, she has caught defenders in the face with those elbows before. But here's the critical distinction. What Boston does is completely legal within the rules of basketball. She's operating within her cylinder. She's not extending beyond her vertical space. She's not making illegal contact. Is it physical? Absolutely. Is it aggressive? Sure, but it's legal. It's smart basketball. It's using her size and strength within the framework of what the rules allow. That's not the same thing as retaliatory contact away from the ball. That's not the same thing as making no play on the basketball and going directly for an opponent's face. And the fact that we're even having to make this distinction, the fact that people are seriously arguing that legal, physical play justifies illegal retaliation, shows how warped the conversation has become around Fever players.
Everything when it comes to WNBA media, everything when it comes to this league, and ironically, when it comes to Unrivaled, it might be even worse. It might end up being even worse. So anyway, yeah, that is pretty much it, lads. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you guys think that she should be, Griner should be suspended? Do you guys think Brittney Griner or Aliyah Boston deserved it? If you think the latter, genuinely crazy. But yeah, it is what it is. That's the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.
So where does this leave us? Brittney Griner isn't going to face any discipline from Unrivaled.
That much seems clear at this point. The league has had plenty of time to review the incident, and their silence speaks volumes. They're not going to suspend one of their marquee players for an incident that happened in their showcase league, especially not when the victim is someone associated with Caitlin Clark, and that's the reality of where we are right now. Unrivaled had an opportunity to establish clear standards for what's acceptable on their court. They had a chance to show that player safety actually means something beyond just being a marketing slogan. They had video evidence of a retaliatory incident between players with documented history, and they chose to do nothing. The message that sends is pretty clear. If you're the right player, you can get away with things that other players can't. If you're on the wrong team or associated with the wrong teammate, you're fair game. The rules apply differently depending on who you are and who you play with. This isn't about whether one incident deserves a suspension in isolation. This is about the pattern we've seen over and over again. This is about the double standards that have become so normalized that people don't even recognize them as double standards anymore. Brittney Griner made no attempt to play the basketball. She had a history of physical confrontations with Aliyah Boston. The previous possession set up the context for retaliation. The video evidence is clear and unambiguous. And yet, nothing will happen. No suspension, no fine, probably not even a public statement acknowledging the incident. Because at the end of the day, Unrivaled is run by the same people who created the WNBA media environment that made Fever players acceptable targets in the first place. The same mentality, the same biases, the same willingness to look the other way when certain players cross the line. Until that changes, until there's actual accountability that applies equally regardless of who the players are, we're going to keep seeing these incidents. We're going to keep having these conversations. And players like Aliyah Boston are going to keep being treated as fair game. So here's my question for you. If this exact same incident happened with the roles reversed, if Boston had hit Griner the exact same way, with the exact same context, do you believe the response would be identical? Because I don't, and if you don't either, then you understand exactly what the problem is here. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell me if you think Griner should be suspended, or if you're one of the people who thinks Boston had it coming. And if you believe the latter, I want you to explain to me how legal physical basketball justifies illegal retaliation away from the ball. Because I genuinely want to understand that logic. Hit that subscribe button if you want more honest WNBA coverage that doesn't ignore the double standard. We're fighting to get back above 57.2% subscriber retention, and every single subscription helps. Let me know what you think happens next time these two teams play each other, because this rivalry is far from over.